So you just saw us play a little Punch-Out, and we're going to talk about another revamping of a franchise. What's old is not old again.
I know what happened. I'm not, yes.
Bionic Commando. Bionic Commando is a Capcom property. We all loved it on the NES. It was that old shooting, platforming, bionic arm game. Now it has been brought into the world of the current gen consoles, 3D, much better, crazy graphics, large world. I'm just trying not to say ooh.
I know, just say it. Just say words.
Dude, but I was in it. I was like, what game is that?
Yeah. Okay, so you know Bionic Commando. You shoot a lot of bad guys. You have a bionic arm that basically lets you swing around the environment, kind of like Spider-Man. The cool thing about this game is that you don't have to attach your bionic arm to specific key points. You can attach it to almost any surface in the game, which is pretty cool. Mostly. Let's ask Daniel what you think about the new Bionic Commando.
Okay, well, I've brought up this game probably 3 times before on the show, and I'm going to bring it up again.
Spider-Man 2?
Spider-Man 2. So the great thing about Spider-Man 2 was it made you feel like Spider-Man, the swinging sensation. Bionic Commando, I'm going to say this about Bionic Commando, and I'm probably going to forget this when it comes to the end of the year, but it's my favorite game of the year so far.
Ooh, wow.
Awesome.
You get a point for that. I gotta get a point for that.
You gotta get a point for that.
Oh, the look on Jeff's.
I felt that way. I kind of felt about your expression. I was like, loud.
I was doing so well not sweating. And
laugh brings
So, Bionic Commando one-up Spider-Man 2 in that Spider-Man 2, yes, you swing around, you feel that way, but you just hit a button that makes you swing, and you swing. You have no control over that swing. Bionic Commando, it is completely you. You are choosing where I have to go, how do I do it, and when you master that skill, all the reward is on the player. I loved that feeling. The score is great, and that the opening titles, the piano version of the score to Bionic Commando is awesome.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
I know. Clear. You finished the game also, right?
I finished the game. I love the fact that you can attack every situation in numbers of ways that are all equally sort of satisfying in their own right. I also feel like it's unfortunate that we are not getting that awesome 360 Indiana Jones game. But this really is kind of that, I mean, graphics aside, and the graphics are really good. The tutorial level, the graphics were terrible, and I was like, oh boy. But then it opens up.
Throwback to.
When it gets to the jungle, or the park, but that jungle look, and all the different looks, it gets so much prettier. And I just loved what I could do in this game.
Umlaut. So, clearly you were surprised at what he said.
Yeah, especially starting with what he started with, because I was gonna say this game had so much potential because it felt like it wanted me to have that experience, but failed at so many ways in delivering that experience.
Right.
Whereas I feel that the Spider-Man games allow you to really feel. When I play with Spider-Man games, what I feel like is I can go anywhere as fast as I want, and even if I screw up a little bit, I'm not going to be punished so horribly. With this game, I felt like I was constantly feeling like I get it, and then horribly beat down. And then I was like, okay, so that wasn't what they want me to do. I'll try it this way.
Yes.
And then I was going, oh, yes. Now I see the thing, I'm getting the thing, and then I fail, and it's like, oh, you can't do that. And I think I came onto the fact that I believe that the game was designed with the realistic physics of what would happen if you were doing this thing where you can't really change direction.
If you had surgery and it gave you a bionic arm.
And this is where I think they mess up, because if you can't really change direction. Like if you're swinging from this thing and you want to go to that thing, you've got to like slow down, stop, turn, get back into it. You can't really. There are things you can do to kind of start that process, But in Spider-Man, if you want to go to that and that, you just go that and now I'm off to that. And I feel like there's this great, cool push-pull thing. So they kind of went for the realism thing. That said, this game is about a guy who has a bionic arm that somehow doesn't get ripped out of his freaking body when his 185-pound man is swinging around on it. Screw realism. This isn't about realism. This should be arcadey and fun. I should feel like Tarzan or Spider-Man. Never got to that point. And the problem was I would constantly get to the point and then die. And the combat system to me is sort of a joke. I mean, the combat system is just like, you know, I use either the big one to shoot him in the face or I use the little one to shoot him in the face. Or the pickup thing and punch is kind of fun.
Yeah.
But that's about it.
So very forgiving targeting.
Very well, yeah.
I'm definitely inclined to agree with Alex. I feel like this game is an exercise in frustration. And it really had a lot of potential to be something fun, but it, like you said, beats you down. And there are clear design choices that I think ruined the game. First of all, you give me a huge, what seems like open environment, and then you populate it with blue clouds of death that are basically serve as invisible walls. But they aren't actually invisible walls because I can get to where it looks like I can go. I get there, but then I just die because the blue cloud of death killed me. Extraordinarily frustrating. The fact that there are large sequences where, in order to unlock the next portion of the game, you disable these mines that have electricity on them. And then you have to swing over water, which is instant, aggravating death.
And once you're in the water, you can't shoot up because there's a,
It is, there are sequences that I did 20, 30 times. Just trying to get to the next, please, can I just get to the next portion of the game? I feel like the combat system was often very aggravating, very frustrating. The game threw these enemies at me that would just attack me and knock me off the world or into the blue, instant death. The second half of the game I think is much better than the first half because there's less of that open city. Like the cavern levels are really fun because I'm swinging and if I fall, I just land in the bottom of the cavern. I can get up. I don't have to.
You really, I'm surprised you guys feel like it's so punishing because really, whenever you're falling, all you have to do is glom onto a wall and you just climb your way straight back up the wall.
Not when there are mines and no walls.
Not when there are mines and no walls and you're over water. And also when I make a decision to, the way I want to get there is by going over here and then I get to the top of this building and all of a sudden the top of the building has blue death on it. The bottom of the building didn't have blue death on it, but the top did. And I didn't know that until I got there, and once I got there, I'm dead. It is ridiculous to me that was the decision that was made.
I thought the radiation was a smarter way to have an invisible wall, which is in every game, because it's not. I found it to not be instant death. It was sort of like if I was getting close, it was like, oh, I know not to go there, and I could still be in my momentum and change direction and keep going.
I never had momentum in this game.
I mean, I played the game almost exclusively swinging. I would, even in the characters where you could just walk to the next place, I would never walk. I was always just. I loved doing that.
Dude, well, first off, that's your satisfaction with Spider-Man games. I mean, I love that mechanic, and that's why I was so disappointed that I couldn't get into the rhythm of the mechanic. Or when I did think I get into it, I was like, oh, now I locked it, and then somehow I was like, oh no, I'm doing it all wrong. It was weird.
Also, the story's pretty terrible. But
the story is terrible. Yeah. I mean, atrocious. But
let's talk about Punch-Out.